originally discovered actually Cinderella through the classic fairy tales. I remember having a book that had both Cinderella and Rapunzel, and those stories, for whatever reason, really captured my imagination.
We lived in a rather small village, and there was one very small cinema, and it's the first movie that I ever saw in a proper cinema.
To this day, I remember every single scene, because how can you not? It's one of the most iconic movies we have.
I remember the scene where her gown transforms, and it was like this magical moment that just had such a deep impact on me. That example is one of the reasons I would eventually go into fashion design.
For me, she's an icon of kindness and courage, and someone who has overcome adversity and achieved success, but you want her to win because she's a good person, she's a kind person. I think for a young modern woman today, feeling like you can overcome adversity, you can be true to yourself, I think that essence of it is just as important today as it was 75 years ago when the original movie came out. Just over a year ago, we closed Paris Fashion Week with an incredible show at Disneyland Paris with the backdrop of the Disney castle. And what it showed us was this is a space that we can really play in, and we want to surprise fans. We want to bring that joy and excitement. And this fashion collector doll is really the next step in that strategy. So the idea really behind Create Your World is that every girl, every woman has a Disney princess in her. She has that magic that Disney princesses have, and you just need to find it and celebrate it, and that's the essence of the program.
We wanted to be a completely different new vision of Cinderella. Something completely unique, something that if you're scrolling through your Instagram, you don't go like, oh, pretty dress, next. We wanted people to stop and look and react. So then immediately we felt it needs to be something avant-garde, couture, surreal, have to have humor, and who other than Viktor and Rolf?
So this is actually a tri-laboration between Viktor and Rolf, Mattel, and Disney. Mattel are the leaders in the collector doll, and in fact, the doll space. They're a long-term partner of ours, and we want to do something together. We want to bring fresh creativity. We want to surprise and delight fans, but where you end up, you never know, and that's what's incredibly exciting and powerful.
I think it's so exciting to collaborate because collaboration really unlocks creativity and sort of sparks different thinking. Mattel Creations is a way for the Mattel brands to sort of reach new consumers, adult consumers, collectors, and sort of look at the best across all the creative enterprises and seeking to expand to reach new audiences.
A lot of people ask us, are you artists, are you fashion designers? So sometimes we just label ourselves as fashion artists, and that makes a good combination of the two.
I'm Viktor.
And I'm Rolf. Nou, eigenlijk, want het gaat niet achter iets omlaag. In our work, we strive for complexity. That something can be several things at once. That is when we feel our work has succeeded the most. And irony is definitely a part of it.
What sets Viktor and Rolf apart is that they've always existed in a liminal space between fashion and art. And the fact that there is a high concept behind every one of their collections, almost a philosophical question behind their couture offerings, doesn't mean that there isn't any technical mastery. Their technical mastery is stunning.
We like to play with these ideas that we all have in our minds. The cliché of what romantic femininity looks like. And it's a good example of how we work. We like to take something you know and then sometimes literally turn it upside down. One of the dresses in this collection was actually this dress, but turned upside down. This ethereal, romantic feeling that we wanted to transmit, is best done by using tulle. One of the fabrics we like to play with a lot because it's so iconic. Let's say the big tulle ball gown.
If I were to summarize the Viktor and Rolf brand DNA, I would call it think pieces, because the main ingredient that anyone has to bring to a Viktor and Rolf show or to see their collection is their brains.
For us, it's very important to draw, and it's not necessarily an official fashion drawing. Then at a certain point, we'll have a lot of doodles, sketches, plus we'll have let's say, an outline of an idea, or we have a very precise idea. And then we go from sketch to toile. We go to our atelier, we discuss the sketches, we describe what we want, we describe the feeling, the mood, the fabrics we're thinking of, the shapes we're thinking of.
When we get excited about an idea, we call it the light bulb moment, when there's this moment that you have the idea and you see it. That is always the best moment.
So in the spring 2019 couture collection, the material that came out the strongest was the tulle. And if I remember correctly, it was several kilometers of it were used in creating this collection. It became a punchy statement in itself.
So we came up with the idea to make a collection that would be extremely dreamy and almost sugary kitsch. In terms of color and material. So again, a lot of tulle in pastel but also very bright colors to give kitschy, girly feeling to the entire collection. But we wanted to juxtapose this dreaminess with something very earthy and very direct. So we thought of slogans that you normally might read either on social media or on T-shirts, like souvenir T-shirts. This dress became the example for the dress that we designed for Cinderella, for Disney. And we thought it was appropriate to work within the idea of this particular collection because there was, let's say, the girly, romantic loveliness on the one hand of this entire collection and of this particular dress. And on the other hand, it's made modern by the slogan that's put onto the dress.
For me, Viktor and Rolf designing a dress for a doll makes sense. They've done it before. They've done it both as a device to present their couture collection, but also as an archival device for themselves.
The idea of a doll as a symbol is very strong. It's a doll, but it's also very serious. It's a very serious piece of fashion.
There were definitely challenges with finding that balance between all of the brands and making sure we stay true to Cinderella and her character and her look. So we needed to make sure that we can deliver that. If a consumer were to just look at the finished product in the box, they could point to it and be like, that's Cinderella. The reference picture that they sent us, it was one of their fashion models wearing a green dress. We knew, okay, well, we're definitely gonna make it blue.
They did a really good job in mimicking the shape of the sleeves of the original. It's a tulle with much smaller structure because if you would use the tulle from the original collection, the holes would be enormous because the original tulle is for a full-length human being and this is for a doll of a smaller scale. So the tulle is, in a way, you can say, scaled down to size to fit the doll.
And the wheels were turning on what that phrase could be for the front, because that's going to be the first thing that people see. And our copywriters got to work on that and came up with a whole list of different phrases that we can have as options for the front. And that's when we landed on, I came, I saw, I left early.
It feels like such a modern interpretation of the kind of princess point of view of, I'm my own person, I checked it out, I was out of there. It works on both levels of just this very modern princess point of view, but actually kind of tying into that countdown, they've got to be out by 12, and I love that duality.
Then there were several options how to
put the text onto the dress. Would it be printed? Would it be embroidered? This is the one we liked. It's simple, it's bold, and it's also close to the show. And also it kind of emphasizes the shape of the dress in a nice way.
It was more up to Mattel to figure out, okay, what are these accessories that she's gonna come with? And to really stick with that theme of making her very timely and modern. I was like, I got it. It's gonna be a cell phone, and she has to carry it in some sort of elegant way because she has this elegant dress on. So what better than those cell phone strap purses that are so trendy right now. So we have that out of pearls because Cinderella wore that green pearl necklace in the film, so it's a nod back to that. And then of course putting 1159 on the phone. If you look closely at the battery, it's almost dead. So that was one of my my favorite little details was designing the cell phone for her, actually.
It's just how Mattel, the level of craftsmanship that they get into these products, like the details on the back of the shoe with the Viktor and Rolf logo, everything it's perfection. So every detail needed to be looked at, and I was just fascinated by that. The color, the shape, separation of the eyelashes, it was just fascinating.
Initially, we wanted to have only long hair because the hair of the models in the show was really long, like in Victorian times, like very, very, very feminine.
The hair originally was gonna be all long, but that looked very much like Rapunzel. We wanted an updo, more like Cinderella, but again, we needed to be different. We needed to be unique.
Disney is always so great at making sure that we stay on track with making sure that we're staying true to Cinderella's core character. You know, Viktor and Rolf has this long hair in their runway show, and they really like that. And that's when Disney came back and they're like, well, we can do both.
We have a very exciting news. We just received the final bill. Enjoy.
Thank you. Oh. No, it's really nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've looked at the dress and the doll so many times, but it's not until you really see it all together in its package, you see it with the backdrop of the package that has the stairs, and it really brings the whole story to life.
From beginning to end, when you finally see the product, it's like opening a Christmas present. It's such a rush of excitement and adrenaline. Couldn't wish for a better product. It surpassed my expectations.
And I think as you look at this doll, you'll see so many of the references. She's wearing the iconic slippers, she's wearing the iconic blue, but actually the interpretation, the dress that she's wearing is so different, it's so fashion, and that's what I love about it.
Taps into the iconography of Cinderella, but makes it modern. There's humor, there's high fashion, there's craft. The best of all worlds in this incredible, incredible doll.
The fact that we're launching it at Fashion Week in Paris, it speaks volumes, and it's exciting to be here. I can't wait to see the reaction.
Every time you do these collaborations, you don't know how the consumer is gonna react. And I'm looking really, really forward towards the event.
super happy because I am a big fan of dolls. I am a big fan of Viktor and Rolf, these beautiful dresses, and I think, wow, that's great, good connection. You know, I am more than happy.
You guys are inspiring, and I hope you keep doing what you do so well. Fashion needs more of that, I think.
This was an incredible success. The launch, the event, everyone that worked on the event did an incredible job. We just, couldn't be happier.
This doll is just the perfect representation of that collaboration. It's gonna absolutely surprise and delight fans around the world.
Now, after working on this project, I see her as a bold, confident woman who will leave the ball when she wants to leave the ball.